All right, all right. Well, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or whatever the hell it is. My name is William Austin, and this is the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of FightbackMedia.com, FightbackMedia.com, FightbackMedia.com. I trust that you are well today. Went to the doctors yesterday, after, our little Rona thing, and we're fine, 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 fine. Uh, One of the things since, my event in 2014 that I look at is my oxygenation. I was 99%. I was fully oxygenated yesterday, which is why I probably felt so good. I was fully oxygenated at 99%. So I was really happy about that. My blood pressure was okay. My weight is down. I look good, but hell, I've always looked good. That has not been the problem. So we are everybody in the family is doing great. I'm back working in the studio. My son is back at work. My wife is back at work. We're all good. It is a blessing of God, and I am super super excited about it. There's some things going on, and we're going to talk about. We are creeping up on a milestone, and you guys know how much I love milestones. I just love milestones. I was happy at 25, ecstatic at 50, over the moon at 100, and just flabbergasted that we made it to 200. But in a few days, as a matter of fact, the target date right now that we're really making sure that we hit, Paul and I, is April 2nd for our 300th episode of the Morning Report. That is awesome. Nearly a year worth of Morning Report. So I'm very, very excited about that. And we're going to make it. We're going to hit 300 on April 2nd. No matter what I have to do, no matter when I have to do it, that is going to happen. So I'm very, very excited about it. Listen, if that doesn't show you that we've got some staying power, that we're in this for the long haul. This isn't one of those, and there are a lot of people out there, and I ain't hating anybody because I know what a grind it can be, who say, I want to do they get politically motivated and they want to do a podcast, and they get a couple of guests, and then then they're doing a podcast, and they have 10 episodes, in 15 weeks, and 10 episodes in 15 weeks. And then the grind of it eliminates them. We have not been that, but we've never done that. We didn't do that when we were doing the Willie Lawson show. We didn't do that when we were doing Real Talk on Blog Talk Radio. We didn't do that when we were doing Rational Black Man. We've never done that. Never. If we start something, we're in it for the long haul. We're in it for the long haul. It may change, it may flip around, it may have a new sound, it may have a new beat, a new look, but we're still here. I like to tell people that we started doing podcasting before podcasting was cool. The very first podcast I did was on March 27th, they tell me, on Blog Talk Radio. Yeah. The story is, how much time? Yeah. The story is quickly that when I got a chance to do some terrestrial radio with a brokered program, don't do brokered radio, folks. Don't get so excited and jacked up about your patriotism that you're going to do a brokered radio show on the weekend on your local. Don't do it. Don't friggin' do it. You'll be broke. Only thing that brokered radio shows do for you is make you broke. Don't do it. I ain't going to hate you for doing it because I did it. I'm just trying to advise you, don't. Do a podcast instead. Spend the $39 a month on Blog Talk Radio, or the $39 a month on Spreaker, or you can go to Anchor and do it for free. Just do it that way. You can still have guests. You can still have distribution. You can still do all of that stuff. Avoid broker radio. But I was able to do that. The station manager, looked at. I called and because they were having a promotion, and he looked at all my podcasts, and well, he knew that I did podcasting, and of course that always that makes that makes them roll their eyes. And then he asked me, well, how often do you do your podcast? And I said, every day. He said, every day? Every day. How long is it? At the time, it was 2 hours. So I do a 2-hour block every day. Now, what I also did was that we don't do here is that I'd already taken a radio clock and I treated my podcast as if it were terrestrial. And he said, okay, well, let me listen to them. So I guess he listened to them. I don't know whether he listened to them or not. But in about 20 minutes later, he calls me back and he goes, I got to get you on the air. And it's because, not just because I'm cute, because I have a face for radio. It's because we were consistent. Consistent. 2 years, almost 3 years, every day, 2 hours a day. That only came to a stop after I got sick. After 2014 when I got sick. Every day. Every day. Once we built up to 2 hours, we did 2 hours every day. Psst, crazy, ain't it? I don't do 2 hours every day because first of all, you're not going to listen for 2 hours. Hell, you barely listen for 20 minutes. So knowing that's the case, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why My Florist is not a website or phone number. My Florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of FightbackMedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's my partner. That's my ride or die. It's Paul Swanson. Paul Swanson on the Swanson Report. The Swanson Report is so good that it is actually embedded in FightbackMedia.com. It's so good that I just had to wrap our loving arms around it and bring it into the fold. So you can go to fightbackmedia.com and see the sponsoring report, or go to sponsoringreport.net directly and sign up, and you should. And you should. You should also, if you're listening to this on YouTube for some reason, just go to the subscribe, hit subscribe, and then hit the notification bell so you know when we upload these videos. I'm going to try to do this every single day, 5 days a week, because that's how we do it. The Colorado shooting and the narrative, because the narrative it's been seeping out and been constructed over the past few years that the person who is the most dangerous person in America is a white male. Don Lemon said so, and he ought to know. He sleeps with a white dude every night, so he should be the one that knows, right? He should know that he is living dangerously, being a black male and sleeping, having sexual intercourse with a white male, because white male are the most dangerous people on the planet. So since a man opened fire in a Colorado grocery store Monday night, killing 9 shoppers and a police officer, the left has proudly proclaimed the shooter was a white man and white supremacist. He might have been a white dude, but who knows if he was a white supremacist, right? So in typical fashion, they didn't wait for the facts, which is why we haven't commented on it here until today. A lot of people on Twitter, because Twitter is the real world, it is not... And it's becoming less and less the real world every single hour. Said things like, Caleb Hull, he's a blue checker. Here are the idiotic leftists who immediately jump to politicize the tragic Boulder shooting to push their agenda. Here we go. We've got Julie DiCaprio, wrote a book. That's Julie DiCaprio, I'm sorry. Extremely tired of people's lives depending on whether a white man with an AR-15 is having a good day or not. Mia Bloom. News. We don't have information about the shooter except he was shirtless. So I guess he was white. Alex Cole. A white man walked into a grocery store in Boulder, killed 10 people, and was apprehended by the police, walked out of the building completely unharmed. Right down the street, police killed Elijah McClain while he apologized for not doing anything wrong. This is, let's see, yes. Jesus effing Christ. I can't see what her real handle is. Knew the Boulder shooter was white when they said he was taken alive. And this is Lance, It's a New Day, with the gay flags around Lance. White, male, suspected shooter. At least 10 dead. AR-15. That's the tweet. And he got a picture of this guy, and he is shirtless. He's a hairy fella. He's got a big beard and a lot of chest hair, and he's being taken away. Reese's CG Media tweeted, heard a shooter had been apprehended in Boulder. Apprehended means he's white, right? Yeah. This is the deal. The narrative came crashing down this afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, when authorities named 21-year-old Ahmad Al-Issa as the suspect. His Facebook page shows him lamenting President Trump win in 2016 election because of racism. Posting Islamic prayers and accusing Americans of being Islamophobic. He also has a history of mental health issues, because he's crazy as hell. There you go. Now his Facebook page has been taken down, but there's all sorts of stuff that, of course, gets captured immediately, right? More screenshots are up. Vice President Kamala Harris's niece, Mina Harris, issued a response to this news. I deleted a previous tweet about the suspect in the Boulder shooting. I made an assumption based on him on his being taken into custody alive and the fact that the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. are carried out by white men. That's as close as we're going to get to a retraction. Usually, assumptions about race and crime are called racism, right? Right? So if somebody breaks into somebody's house or carjacks somebody, if your picture in your head is had to be some black kid, right, with his, with sagging pants, then you're a racist, right? Anyway, Chris Barron tweets, so the Boulder shooter was a Muslim guy who was radicalized by the mainstream media's hate for Trump. This story will disappear as fast as it will make your head spin. Except that it's here. That's why it's super important that you tell your friends that we're here and that we've been here. And our history says we're going to be here. We're not going to let this story disappear. That, the mainstream leftist narrative was that this was a white man. This was a white redneck fellow with an AR-15. When it was one of your chosen people, it was a Muslim. It was a radical Islamist who basically hates Americans and blamed blamed everybody for Trump. I don't know if he realized that Trump wasn't in office anymore, and then got radicalized and was doing his part of jihad, because that has not gone away. His part for jihad, and went in, knowing that he's going to get 72 virgins. When they put a needle in his arm, I don't know, are they going to put a needle in his arm in Colorado? I don't think so. I think he's going to live out the rest of his life in relative comfort. Relative, if you talk about the people who are living on the streets, hooked on heroin and insanity in Seattle. So, relatively speaking, he's going to be fairly comfortable. Relatively speaking, right? He may even get even be eligible for some COVID relief funds. He may even get extra $1,400, or whatever. Who knows? So we're going to try to keep these kind of stories up. It's hard when so much is flying at us. But we want people to know. A long time ago, I heard from in a conversation I had with Andrew Breitbart. It's the people who control the narrative that control everything. It's the people who control the story, and what stories get told and what stories don't get told. This story must continue to be told. Now, the more it's told, the more the left is going to come after people like me and people like Paul as Islamophobic and racist. No. Don't deflect. We're going after people who made the assumption that this was a white dude, that this was some redneck white dude with an AR-15, when it wasn't. You made the assumption. We're going to continue to remind people that you made that assumption, and that's a racist assumption. We waited to see what the deal was. We just waited. It could have been a white dude. It could have been an albino. It could have been anybody. We waited. We waited to see what the facts were. And we're going to keep that narrative going. Let's take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. We are in tumultuous times here on the internet. Many platforms are finally taking this opportunity to rid themselves of conservative voices. A lot of you are learning how this internet game is played and are wondering if there is a place for you online. Well, yes, there is. Freedomforum.website is providing a place for everyone to be, including conservatives. Freedomforum.website is dedicated to the First Amendment and free speech for everyone. Join us there and speak your mind. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Blooming Days Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com, and you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com.
A conservative who seeks truth over the conventional statist wisdom, coming to you from the southern headquarters of FightbackMedia.com, your host, Willie Lawson.
Again, Paul, we appreciate that. All righty. Now, we have talked at length about January 6th, 2021, and we will continue to talk about January 6th, 2021. Why? Because we need to keep that story going, because more and more truth is coming out, and of course you're not hearing the truth. You're hearing the narrative. If you hear anything, you hear more and more of the narrative that they treat like, quote, settled science, end quote. When it's no such a thing. When we're talking about that day, we're talking about that people on Capitol Hill knew. We're also talking about that then President Trump asked Nancy Pelosi for like 10,000 National Guard in the city, and that request was denied. So what you saw and what I saw, we were supposed to see. This idea, and I got to go over it again. Sorry. This idea that this ragtag, unarmed group of people, and they were unarmed. The FBI in some congressional hearings basically said that they didn't recover any weapons, and the only shot that was fired was the shot that killed Ashley Babbitt. That was the only shot that was fired. That was it. So this unarmed group of people was able to, they were somehow able to breach the capital of the United States. One of the most secure places in the country, with the Pentagon right down the street, in a city that is used to protest, that understands how to deal with protest, and has all the accoutrement of how of dealing with protest. We are to believe that this ragtag group of people, the guy with the horns on his head that we've all seen on Antifa websites, that is how it was breached. And we're supposed to believe that it was spontaneous. We were supposed to believe that the Capitol Guard was overwhelmed. And these people were armed and dangerous. When we've all seen video of some of the people who got caught up, and there were Trump supporters that got caught up. They were dumbasses. Cleaning up, putting stuff in the trash cans. walking through the rotunda inside the velvet ropes. These weren't people who were pulling down statues and break. These are people who were walking inside the velvet ropes. And these were the insurrectionists? So what that sparked was this incredible situation and view that, again, all for public consumption, of the Capitol now being this gated, fenced off area, right? Why? Because they've got to keep that narrative going. That's why. The only reason. They've got to keep that, they wanted to keep that narrative going. So this is from our friends at Western Journal commentary. Western Journal. That uninviting outer fence around the U.S. Capitol will reportedly come down in the next couple of days after it's made a mockery of the principles this country was founded upon for more than 2 months. Acting House Sergeant-at-Arms Timothy Blodgett issued a memo on last Friday announcing that the Capitol architect and the U.S. Capitol Police together will remove the outer perimeter fencing around the Capitol complex sooner than initially anticipated. Even CNN reported that the move could come as early as this weekend, said Blodgett. The man told lawmakers that there does not exist a known credible threat against Congress. We knew that. Yeah, we knew that. We said that. Or the Capitol complex that warrants the temporary security fencing. The exercise in political theatrics was anticipated to last until the fall of this year. So without a boogeyman, apparently people who aren't covetous of power made the decision to end the charade. Yeah, following the January 6th Capitol riot, which was an ugly day in the country's history, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, that fencing was erected around the complex perimeter. Democrats and other opportunists seized upon the building incursion to achieve their political ends. Washington, D.C. became a militarized zone filled with troops sleeping in parking garages, while others wanted to view the beauty of our nation's capital and instead saw an area that looked like Baghdad. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was essentially given what appeared to be her own private army, while politicians demanded a physical barrier to protect them. Really? As they have simultaneously denied the rest of us border security and a wall. Many troops remain to protect lawmakers from a threat that doesn't exist. Conservative insurrectionists. Now, a lot of us already knew that, it's funny. It's funny. I often think back, I often wax poetically about my Tea Party days and listening to what, mainstream media was saying about people in the Tea Party movement. I got to speak at more than one Tea Party rally where I looked out into the audience, onto a lawn, in a park, and I saw some young people. I saw some grandparents, a lot of grandparents, people people with American flags, people who cleaned up after themselves. I didn't see any armed insurrectionists. I didn't see people standing there with AR-15s ready to do battle. I didn't see them. They weren't, because they weren't there. In the latter days of the Tea Party movement, we even asked people to stop bringing signs. And they did. Because most of those folks want to follow the rules. So, and you know what insurrectionists don't do? They don't follow rules. They don't follow norms. So were there people there that day that got caught up? Certainly. Certainly there were. And that's tragic. So the buzzwords such as insurrection, sedition, and treason have been tossed since January by elected Democrats and the liberal media. These people, by and large, aren't exactly patriots themselves. The whole exercise has felt forced by people who have likely celebrated the same building had been burned to the ground by leftist rioters. No buildings were burned on January 6th. And after the crowd of protesters dispersed and left the city after that day, there were never any real threat from politically engaged Americans, most of whom went anywhere, who never went anywhere near inside the Capitol. That was only a few people. Most people didn't go anywhere near. We have videotape of people begging the Capitol Police to call in for reinforcements and do something. We see video of people trying to stop other folks from going in. The FBI arrested many of those who were accused of storming the building and continues to search for more, but most of those who traveled to Washington in January to make their voices heard peacefully went home and back to their lives. Horned hat guy Jacob Chansley remains behind bars after he was accused of attempting to start a coup. That man's painted face is representative of the events of the day and what Democrats would have us believe as a threat to our national stability. That dude, Jacob Chansley, also known as Jake Angeli, an Arizona man, makes first court appearance for charges related to storming the U.S. Capitol. His mom said he hasn't eaten since Friday because the detention center won't feed him all his organic food. You know damn well he ain't Trump support. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there was never any coup coming. People in silly outfits don't organize forced takeovers of stable governments. No horde of angry MAGA voters was ever marching to seize control of the government in January. And no one is going to now. None of that mattered to lawmakers who desperately wanted and still want to expel former President Donald Trump and Trumpism from this deciders. They demanded a wall of all things to protect them. Apparently, the Capitol Police finally saw through the absurdity of it all. That thousands of feet of fencing was erected purely for show. Purely for show. And those thousands of National Guard troops guarding it have been there, have been and are still being used as human props. The fencing is coming down with a win for our republic. Thank you. Yeah. And this was written by Kip Jones, published about 3 days ago. It is insane. Absolutely insane. All right. Now, here's something you can talk about. The left keeps saying that illegal immigrants aren't getting COVID relief checks. I call bull. What? I call bull. They are. And the narrative is they're not getting COVID relief checks because they don't have Social Security numbers. Now, if you've been following anything having to do with illegal aliens, what you know is that a lot of people who are illegal aliens have Social Security numbers. They do. During the Obama administration, people who were in charge of the IRS knew. They knew. People in charge of Social Security knew that there were illegal aliens who had Social Security numbers. They knew. So this idea that this talking point that illegal immigrants won't get stimulus checks because they don't have Social Security numbers. The fact of the matter is that a lot of them do. The estimate is that 2.65 million illegal immigrants who have Social Security numbers that allow them to receive stimulus checks. 2.6 million. Can you do that arithmetic real quick? Well, certainly I will. I won't do it in my head, though. I'll do it on my phone. How about that? That is an incredible amount of people. We're talking 2 million Oops, and I got to press the right thing, don't I? We're talking about 2,650,000. 2,660,000 times 1,400. $3.7 billion. As a result, I mean, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And there's only one reason. It's all just advertising and promotion for the left and for the Democrat Party. That's what it is. That's what it is. You know, the game should be over with any counter discussion about people are searching for a better life when you look at pictures of people who are wearing Biden "Please Let Us In" t-shirts. Tell me that's not organized. Tell me that's not organized. Tell me that that's all spontaneous. They all just happen to go to Teesprings and get the same t-shirt and decide to wear it. Tell me that that's not organized. Not organized from this side of the border. Are you kidding me? And it's even the Biden that was used in the Biden campaign. It's a campaign logo. We've been had, kids. Well, some of y'all have been had. I haven't been had. We've been talking about this for a long, long time. Here is a tweet from the Center for Immigration Studies. The estimated population of illegal immigrants with valid Social Security numbers. DACA recipients. And DACA are the dreamers, right? You saw the big air quotes. 652,880. TPS recipients. 411,326. Asylum applicants, just applicants, 441,943. Other aliens temporarily present without status under the Immigration and Nationality Act, another 440,109. Illegal immigrants with stolen identities, 700,000. Total illegal population who can receive stimulus money, 2,646,258. That's the estimate. That is absolutely amazing. And that money just goes right out the window. Because that isn't put back into our economy. That isn't that. A lot of that money will go to Mexico. A lot of that money will go to South America. A lot of that money will be transferred out. Thank you, U.S. taxpayers. You just got screwed again. All right, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. And so until we see you again, go out there and love somebody, learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.
We appreciate the time you took today to listen to the broadcast. Please check the links below on how to further interact with the FightbackMedia.com network. Please remember to like and share this broadcast with your like-minded friends and family. Also, we'd appreciate your subscription to the broadcast, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified when we upload new content.